again. I remember looking around and seeing the rocks and the cliffs, and I looked at the cliff where the house was built under, and I noticed there was two big boulders right near the platform where they blew out the boulders and pushed them aside somehow and built the house under it. And when we climbed in the ship, I remember looking at it, and this is when I realized none of the steps are actually touching, and I see that they're wiggling just a little, and each step is like a little bit bigger than maybe 2 feet together wide and 1 foot long. We went up to the ship. This floor came up. I had no idea how the hell that happened. It just came up and it compacted into like a briefcase size area. And at first I noticed there was no seats inside the ship. The lady that was with me, she just touched the wall, and I noticed right out of the wall, a seat came out of the wall, and the leg came out of the seat, and it dropped down at the same time. And I noticed there was one on each side of the craft, and they were about 4 feet wide, maybe 18 inches in depth. As I'm in the ship, and we're starting to go down along the cliff, I'm looking out the back window. If you're looking at the back of the ship flying away, she's on the left side in the front. I'm on the right side in the back. And I'm just looking left out the window as we fly that way. And I could see the cliff, the rocks, and we flew over another white ship that was on a pad, and I saw someone run into it. And then we went a little past them, and then we came up to come out into space. When we came into space, the planet was about 4 feet round in diameter, and I looked left and right, probably 5 miles away, there was the 12-mile long white cigar-shaped UFO. And on the other side of it, there was one half the size. If you look at Mars rover videos of what they recorded of UFOs, you will see that. I have that on my phone. I'm not going to show no pictures now. I'm just going to tell the story. So that white UFO, the nose of it was like even with the ship that I was in. It was only like 5 miles away. And I know that it's 12 miles long because the Russians measured it with a laser on one of their satellites. These are the UFOs that always mess up probes and whatever we send to Mars. Know that these are the people that destroyed our home planet and created Valles Marineris. So as we just come out, I can see the white ship that I just flew over starting to come up, and I look left, I see the craft. It fired a white line. It fired a white energy beam, best I can describe. It had a purple, compared to the size of the ship, it being 12 miles, this energy beam had a purple and blue lines that were probably a mile long, and it was like a current. It just kept spitting those two colors mixed with the white energy beam. It was so fast. It went, it hit, and it twisted, and when it twisted, it created a knuckle at the halfway point. It twisted and ripped right across the entire planet. And when it did that, I noticed the ground just collapsed. And now it's Valles Marineris. Before the ground collapsed, I'll tell you what was there. On the surface was 6 buildings that were 3 in one row and 3 in another row, and the one on the top right had a chimney and it was smoking like crazy. Now these three buildings were exits for the underground city because it was so big. Now there were 2 entrance buildings just north of the far left one, and those 2 buildings are still there. Those 2 buildings The one on the right is shaped like a letter L. The short part of the L, that's the entrance to get into it. I've landed probably 10 times I can remember walking on Mars going into that building. I just kept getting these flashes and memories